The grease, the grit, the growl of an engine kicking back to life. That's the real music, the gearhead anthem outsiders just don't get. For me, it was a calling, even in the crummy back alley garage where I started. Downtown Brooklyn, place looked like it hadn't been painted since Giuliani was mayor. But inside those peeling walls, a war was brewing. Mechanics on one side and a boss straight out of a mob movie on the other. Tony, the owner, Mr. Big Tony, as he liked to be called, was a walking stereotype. Gold chains, slicked back hair, always smelled like cheap cologne and trouble. He ran those two shops like his personal fiefdom. Never touched a wrench, not Big Tony. He'd sit in his penthouse overlooking Manhattan, watching us on his damn security cameras, every twitch, every cough. His eyes in the sky, that's what those cameras were, like we were lab rats under glass. Every move scrutinized, every second timed. Felt like living in some twisted reality show where the prize for screwing up was getting fired. The air in that shop was thick with tension. You could taste it. Every guy knew one wrong move, one dropped socket, and Tony's wrath would come crashing down. I tried to just bury myself in the work, find some peace in the rumble of a V8, even with Tony's shadow looming. He was the puppet master, pulling strings from his ivory tower, and we were all dancing, or trying to. Life there? It was a pressure cooker. His rules were insane, his temper legendary. Every minute of the day was under his microscope. Fix the cars, clean the shop, keep the customers happy. Sounds simple, right? Under Tony, it was a tightrope walk over a pit of fire. A 5-minute smoke break? Forget it. Leaning on the broom for a second? You'd hear about it. He was always watching, always ready to pounce. The phone would ring, his voice booming through the shop like a drill sergeant on meth, screaming about laziness, about how we were all ripping him off. And sometimes, just to spice things up, he'd show up in person, like a shark smelling blood, just to unload on us face to face. Every visit was a performance, a power play. He'd swagger in, face red, veins popping, looking for any excuse to explode. The shop would go dead silent, the clanging of tools replaced by his bellowing. He was a pro at twisting anything into a reason to punish us. Customer complained about a scratch? Never the customer's fault, always ours. Slow day? Not because it was Tuesday in the middle of nowhere, but because we weren't hustling enough. It was all about control, a sick dance of dominance he loved to lead, soaking up every ounce of misery he dished out. His constant crap started to eat at us, turning a job I once loved into a daily fight for survival. I started dreaming of escape, of finding a shop where the boss wasn't a psycho. Tony's reign was suffocating me, and I knew I had to get out, for my own head. Then, out of the blue, he calls me in, tells me he's transferring me to his other shop. Just like that. No discussion, no please, no thank you. I was floored, totally blindsided. Was he trying to get rid of me? I'd seen him do it before, grind guys down until they quit rather than pay unemployment. Weird thing was, I'd been thinking about jumping ship anyway. Maybe he sensed it, figured he'd shake things up, throw me off balance. Whatever his angle, change was coming. This other shop, he called it the Uptown location. I'd heard stories. Supposed to be a real dump, ancient equipment, stuck in a bad neighborhood up in the South Bronx. Not exactly a step up. My current shop was in a decent area, relatively safe. The Bronx? Different story, but I was stuck. Couldn't quit without another job lined up. So, I nodded, agreed to the transfer, even though my gut was screaming, no. New shop, new headaches, guaranteed. But I was determined to ride it out, at least until I found something better. First day at the new place, I felt this chill, like walking into a haunted house, but I had no clue how much everything was about to flip, how Tony's little empire was about to come crashing down around him. The Bronx shop was something else, straight out of a horror movie. Leaky roof, busted lights, tools older than my dad. The neighborhood? Yeah, the rumors were dead on. Crack vials in the gutter, graffiti everywhere, not exactly welcoming. But then I met the guys. That's what changed everything. Except for me, the whole crew was black, and they were brothers, a real family. They stuck together, facing whatever crap life threw at them as a unit. It was inspiring, seeing that kind of bond in a place like this. But as I got to know them, something ugly started to bubble up. Tony's real face. He wasn't just a jerk. He was a straight-up racist. The garbage he spewed, the way he talked about my coworkers, it made my skin crawl. I couldn't believe someone like that could still be walking around, running a business in this day and age, talking like it was Jim Crow era. But they just took it, my crew. Years of it, I guess. Their strength, their quiet dignity, it was incredible. They'd been through hell with Tony, swallowed his poison every day, and they still showed up, still busted their asses, still kept that place running. My respect for them went through the roof. And my hate for Tony? It grew like a cancer. These were good men, salt of the earth, and he treated them like trash. It was wrong, plain and simple. Plain. It was right then, in that run-down shop in the Bronx, surrounded by these guys, that I knew I had to find a way out. Not just for me, but for all of us. But fate had other plans. Plans way bigger than just finding a new job. The Bronx shop was a pressure cooker set to explode. Tony's visits got more frequent, his insults more vicious, his punishments more cruel. He'd dock pay for anything, send guys home without a dime for the day if he felt like it, just to flex his muscle. It was constant, relentless. I was sending out resumes, applying for jobs online, desperate for an escape hatch. Then, finally, a break. A good shop in Long Island City, decent pay, boss seemed normal, even human. I was ready to bail, but then I looked at my crew. These guys who had become my brothers, still stuck in Tony's web, still taking his abuse. Could I just walk away? Leave them to rot? It didn't sit right. I felt this weight, this responsibility, this fire in my gut. I knew I couldn't just leave. I had to do something. So, I walked into Tony's office, ready to hand in my 2 weeks. I figured I'd do it clean, professional, give him the courtesy he sure as hell didn't deserve. Biggest mistake of my life. He went nuclear, lost his mind. He fired me on the spot, then fired 2 of my coworkers who dared to speak up for me. That was it. The line in the sand. Leaving wasn't enough anymore. This wasn't just about me getting a better job. It was about them, about us, about justice. Tony had been getting away with this for too long. It was time to fight back, to burn his kingdom to the ground. I knew what had to be done. With my crew backing me up, we went to war. We filed a complaint with the Department of Labor. Laid out everything. Every racist slur. Every stolen paycheck. Every illegal firing. We handed them the whole damn playbook of Tony's crimes. And they moved fast. Within days, they launched an investigation. A tiny crack of light in the darkness, but Tony, he was a cornered rat. He found out about the complaint and he went ballistic again. He called the shop phone, screaming like a banshee, threatening to sue, to blacklist us, to make our lives hell. I could practically see his face turning purple through the phone line. But here's the kicker. The thing Tony, in his infinite arrogance, forgot. The shop phones were recorded. Every word of his rant, every threat, every confession. It was all going straight to tape. His rage, his meltdown, it became his undoing. He handed us the ammo we needed on a silver platter. I called the Department of Labor, told them about the recording. They listened to it, and suddenly they had smoking gun proof of his tyranny. The game had changed. The guy who used to watch us from his cameras was now being watched by the eyes of the law. His empire was starting to crumble, brick by brick. His retaliation was swift and dirty. He fired me, fired my 2 brothers, right then and there, no severance, no goodbye, just gone. We were out on the street, jobless, broke, but not broken. We were free from his poison, and we were ready to finish this fight. I filed for unemployment, and you know Tony fought it, tooth and nail. He even appealed to a judge, tried to argue he was justified in firing us, that we were the problem, not him. He thought he could buy the court, bully the system, just like he bullied us. He was in for a rude awakening. He skipped the hearing, blew it off like it was nothing, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Arrogance, pure and uncut. The judge wasn't playing games. He slammed the door shut on Tony's appeals, and boom, unemployment benefits approved. Small win, but it tasted sweet. But the real battle was still raging. The investigation was rolling, and we knew this was just the opening round. We had to wait, see how the cards would fall. Life after Tony was weird, quiet. The shop, once buzzing with the clang of tools and the shouts of angry customers, was silent, dead. Weeks crawled by. Then a letter arrived at my apartment. From Tony. My stomach dropped. After everything? I ripped it open, bracing for another wave of threats, another dose of his venom. Instead, it was an apology, a handwritten apology, on fancy stationery no less. He was sorry, he wrote. He'd had a come-to-Jesus moment, apparently. He wanted to offer me my job back, all of our jobs back. I almost choked, laughing. After months of hell, after getting fired, a letter was supposed to wipe the slate clean. But it was a shift, a crack in the wall. The arrogant, untouchable Tony was showing cracks, trying to make amends, or at least look like he was. Was he scared? Did he see the walls closing in? Probably. Maybe it was just a pathetic attempt to make us drop the case. Whatever it was too little, way too late. The apology was hollow, meaningless. It didn't erase the years of abuse, the stolen wages, the racist poison he'd spewed. If anything, it just lit a fire under me. He was sweating. I could smell it. His empire was crumbling, and we were there to watch it fall. All we had to do was wait for the final blow. Days bled into weeks. The waiting game was brutal. Tony's phony apology letter sat on my counter, a constant reminder of everything we'd endured. Then, finally, the day came. 2 months after Tony's pathetic attempt at a truce, another envelope arrived from the Department of Labor. My heart hammered as I tore it open. The investigation was done. Tony was guilty. Guilty on all counts. Racial discrimination, wage theft, the whole damn rap sheet. Relief flooded me. A tidal wave of pure, unadulterated relief. He was banned, blacklisted, forbidden from running any shop, any business, in New York State, for years. Victory. Sweet, hard-fought victory. All the months of struggle, all the insults, all the sleepless nights, it had all come down to this. Tony, the tyrant, the king of his greasy garage kingdom, was brought to his knees, brought down by the guys he'd tried to crush. Satisfaction surged through me, hot and fierce, but then my thoughts turned to my crew, my brothers. They were part of this win, too. They'd stood shoulder to shoulder with me, risked everything, fought the good fight. We'd done it together. Tony was gone, no longer a threat. His reign of terror was over, but the battle had changed us, forged us in fire. It had shown us the power of unity, the strength of standing up, the absolute necessity of fighting for what's right. This wasn't just Tony's reckoning. It was ours, too. The silence after the storm was deep, profound. The stress, the anger, it began to recede, replaced by a quiet, solid sense of peace. But then the reality crashed down again. We were still jobless. My crew, their families, they were still hurting. The victory was real, but it was also bittersweet. We'd won the war, but the aftermath was still messy, still painful. In the weeks that followed, I did a lot of thinking, a lot of looking back. The hardship, the struggle, it had tested us, pushed us to the brink, but it had also welded us together, made us unbreakable. Tony, in his own twisted way, had given us a gift, the lesson of solidarity. And yeah, strangely enough, I felt a flicker of something like gratitude, not to him, but to the whole damn ordeal. It had been a trial by fire, and we'd emerged stronger, tougher, wiser. Armed with that strength, with that hard-won knowledge, I started looking ahead, charting a new course. The lessons learned in that Bronx garage, under the shadow of a tyrant, were worth more than any paycheck, any promotion. Tony's downfall was a stark reminder that injustice doesn't get the last word. That ordinary people, when they lock arms and stand tall, can topple even the biggest, ugliest bullies. That whole crazy, messed up chapter of my life, it changed me, deep down. It burned into my soul the truth that speaking up, fighting back, even when your knees are shaking, can move mountains. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that wherever my road led, I would never again stand by and watch someone like Tony get away with it. Not on my watch, not ever. Our triumph over that monster wasn't just about closing down a bad shop. It was about showing the world, and ourselves, that even in the darkest corners of the city, justice can win. And that in the end, right will always, always prevail.